Hey, this is Steve Domenico in the Room podcast with Darryl Andrews Jr. fighting April 4th at Cage Titans 48, Plymouth Memorial Hall, fighting for the second time in his heavyweight amateur career, first time in Plymouth. Welcome to the show, Darryl. How you doing?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Pleasure, my man. Young amateur, impressive first time in the cage back at NEF, man. I love seeing it. I love seeing a performance like that, a really gritty performance. South Shore sports fighting guy. You were on a card with a couple of other teammates that had been there a little bit. Let's talk about that experience and how you got to that cage.
Oh man, it was awesome fighting with Manny and Tim. They were able to kind of guide me along the process a little bit. So that was cool. I probably asked them a million questions throughout, the weigh-ins and the fight card. But it was awesome to have them with me. And, of course, at South Shore, I get tons of guys that help me get there and coaches. And, we're a big family over there. So that's pretty much how I got there was all those guys. Like, I started training South Shore a year and a half, 2 years ago. And, I can't thank the guys over there enough for helping me out. It's some tough lessons I learned sometimes, but I appreciate all the help over there.
Now, you said you were there for a couple of years. Did you have any martial arts training before you stepped into training at South Shore?
I've done jiu-jitsu, like 5 or 6 years ago for a couple months. Nothing serious. Always been a fan of the sport. Always wanted to do it, and kind of finally said enough's enough, time to jump in. And at first I was, just training, learning, and I had to lose a bunch of weight before I could get even under the heavyweight limit. I was like 310 pounds at one point. So I was like, long process, but it was good.
Excellent. Well, looking at some of your social media, you were a big football player. Talk about that. I mean, you're an athlete, a big athlete, but a football player. How much experience did you have playing ball?
So I played football, my whole life since I was like 8 or 9 years old. Through high school, a little bit of college that didn't really work out, and then I played actually semi-pro for the last like 10 years. So it's pretty much a step above Bay League softball. It's nothing crazy, but there's a wide range of guys. Guys that have never played before, and then guys that have played high-end Division I ball. So you get some good competition there. So I've always been an athlete. I've always been a competitor, and playing football, I've always been one of the smaller guys too. So in the heavyweight division, I'm kind of used to going up against guys like like Matt, 6'4" and
yeah. Big
got a little bit of reach on me.
Big lineman up over there. So you're used to that. So all right, so we get to South Shore. You're there for a couple of years. Where was the decision made? Let's get in there. Let's have your first amateur fight. How was that? How was that made?
Well, last year I did a couple of Nagas. Did all right, and I talked to Bill over the summer. My head coach, Bill Mahoney, talked to him last summer. I was like, hey, just throwing it out there. When something comes up, I'd like to be able to fight if that's possible. I obviously wouldn't do it without Bill's blessing until he thinks I'm ready. So just letting him know that that's eventually where what's in the plans and what I like to do. And then late November, NEF reached out and offered Titus, and I jumped. I don't even care who the first name was. I would have taken whatever.
Well, you were going up there. I mean, you knew, Manny. Well, Manny was late notice, but you had another training partner there, so you're heading up there. Anyway, as far as that fight being in there, you've seen training partners in there. You've seen them fight. What was that experience like? Was it something did you expect what you expected, or was it kind of like, holy cow?
I've been telling everybody, because that's the question everybody asks, after your first fight. How was it? Was it what you expected? And no, it's nothing like I expected. It was the first 10 seconds were like, oh, this isn't sparring anymore. Holy shit, It's quite the adjustment, but it was awesome. It was the biggest rush I've ever had, played sports my whole life, played everything: basketball, football, baseball, hockey, you name it. And that was the most fun I've had doing any competition type thing. It was awesome.
It was awesome to watch. I mean, we got two heavyweights. The heavyweight division is something to watch, especially two pretty young amateurs in the game. As far as that fight, I mean, your grappling looked great in there. As far as a heavyweight, your movement on the ground, your control, you knocked him down. The end of I forgot what round it was, but it was the 10-second clicker. You hit him with a nice shot
Yeah.
right at the the buzzer there, man. What'd you feel when because you were dominating that fight? What'd you feel in that fight as far as the rhythm and what was going through your head there?
Well, at first it was just like, all right, the first 10 seconds, like, don't get knocked out, don't get knocked out. And then you kind of settle down. And once I started taking him down, it was like, all right, deep down, I wanted to finish the fight, but I also didn't want to gas myself out, and I knew that was a possibility. If I had really gone for the finish, I might have, gassed myself out and wouldn't have lasted till the third round. But, watching the fight, there were a couple times now where I think I could have, taken a chance here and there and put him away. But, it's just something you learn, through the amateur, ranks and stuff. At the end of the first round is when I clipped him. Like, really hit him right as the bell rung. And in my head, I was thinking, I'm like, just don't get up, don't get up, don't get up. But, another 5 seconds, I would love to be able to, follow it up. But, Titus is a tough guy.
Yeah.
So, I appreciate him showing up and being a game, opponent for my first fight, because it definitely wasn't easy,
Yeah, especially fighting all the way in Maine. So here we go. Your next fight, where your first fight experience leads into here. What are you taking into this fight, and how excited are you to fight basically in your backyard where most of your training partners have ruled Cage Titans at Plymouth Memorial Hall?
I mean, I've been to tons of cards there in the stands, rooting on my teammates, and now finally get to make my Cage Titans debut. I'm so excited. It's awesome. I have a ton more friends and family coming out for the fight, so it's going to be an awesome night. I'm really looking forward to it. And it's like a 40-minute ride for me. So compared to the 2.5 hours it took me to get up to Portland, so definitely looking forward to it. And Plymouth Memorial Hall is a great venue for MMA. It's awesome.
Well, we're 3 weeks out. You were fighting, a long ways from your home, especially your first amateur fight. Do you think there's going to be more nerves going into here since you're fighting, with a lot of friends, family, training partners, fighters that couldn't make the fight to Maine but are going to be watching you some of them on the same card? Is there more nerves, less nerves, or is it too early in the game right now to really get nervous about it?
I mean, honestly, I thought I would be more nervous before my last fight too, but it wasn't really until I was in the locker room with my hands taped that I started to get a little fidgety and stuff like that. But I really don't think that nerves are going to be an issue. I've played some football games in front of a couple thousand people and stuff like that. Had a lot of friends and family in the stands for that too. So I think that's one of the things that I take away from my football experience is just like, it's the same as playing in like a championship game, where the stands are packed. We don't get that type of, atmosphere every week, but, the championship game, 2,500 people show up, standing room only, I get a lot of friends and family that show up for that too, and I'm not going to embarrass myself there, and I'm certainly not going to do it, on April 4th in front of them all there.
Well, here we go, man. April 4th. I mean, 3 weeks away. You're fighting Matt Tapero. Couple of fights he's got. I think a couple of fights for reality fighting. A big stage there, Mohegan Sun. Heavyweight, anything can happen. I mean, he's lost, I think, both fights by TKO, but I was at his last fight. Anything can happen in the heavyweight division. What are you thinking about this fight? Do you know about him, or he's too early in both of your careers to really study each other?
Yeah, I mean, all I know is really the two fights that I've watched, and I don't really take away I take the results out of it. Matt's a tough guy. He's a big guy. He's got a lot of reach, and he's a tough opponent. And I know his record is not indicative of the energy that he brings to the cage. So I'm not overlooking anybody. I'm just looking to get better, honestly, every day. And I just can't wait to have another chance to step in the cage. And now with a little bit of experience, I think it's going to be a little helpful, Just hoping it gets a little easier every time.
Yeah, and there you go. As far as training camp, this is your second one. Being early in your career, have you picked anything up from last camp to this camp? Is there anything new? Anything you've been really focusing on this training camp?
I mean, it was a pretty short turnaround from the last fight. It was only like 8 weeks. So we pretty much rolled it right over. I had a couple of days off in between. Like I got a pretty bad cold. Luckily, the week after the fight, not the week of, and that put me out for a few days. But other than that, we rolled it right into the next training camp. So I feel good. Just working on my cardio and stuff like that, and just learning because I'm still so early, not just in my MMA career, but my martial arts career, that I still got so much to learn. So it's every day in the gym, learning new technique and drilling and drilling and drilling.
Excellent, my man. Well, last thing before I let you give your shout outs and all that, what are we expecting out of Darryl Andrews Jr.? Last fight, unanimous decision, grinded that fight, had a lot of moments on your feet, knocked him down, almost finished that fight there. What are we expecting at Cage Titans on April 4th?
You can just more energy. I felt comfortable in my last fight, and now I think it's time. Now that I settled down a little bit, to really show what I can bring to the cage, and I want to go for the finish, whether that's on the feet or take it, to the ground and tap them out, or however it goes. I want to finish the fight.
Excellent, my man. Well, last thing, bro. Training partners, social media, sponsors, family, friends, anyone you want to shout out to. I know you got tickets to sell. We still got, a few weeks left to get your name out there and sell some tickets, so let it fly.
Well, definitely, I want to thank, first off, everybody at South Shore, Coach Bill and Ryan, Danielle, everyone that was in my corner that night. They've all been tremendous and helped me get here, and obviously all my training partners. Manny's been great, JoJo, Tim, Mike, O'Brien, everybody. I'm going to forget people. Adam, there's a ton of people there that have just helped me every single day. And it's just, every time I go around with somebody, they'll pull me aside and say, hey, instead of doing this, do this. And it's they're awesome over there. And then all my sponsors, I want to thank all my sponsors. They helped me be able to get through these training camps and, take care of myself and stuff like that. And M&S Auto Body and A&A Fence Company. Who else? I know I'm going to obviously forget some of my sponsors too, and they're going to kill me.
That's all right. You tag them on the interview, and then they're all set.
Yeah. Middleborough Cobras, who I used to play for. Big shout out to Middleborough Cobras. Everybody else in the NFL. Good luck this upcoming season. This will be my first year in 10 seasons that I'm not playing football anymore.
Damn it!
I'm gonna step away from football and concentrate on the MMA.
Awesome. 2020 is gonna be big for you.
And Southside Tees, they hooked it up with my first run of T-shirts for my first fight, and then all my friends and family, everybody that came out for the first fight. We had a bunch of people make the trip up to Portland, so I'm expecting a big crowd on April 4th down in Plymouth. I don't know if downtown Plymouth's ready for the for the crowd.
I think they're ready. South Shore's had a few parties come to that place. So my man, last thing, social media, because you're gonna have T-shirts and tickets, and let that go too.
It's on Facebook. You can find me. It's Darryl Andrews Jr. On Instagram, it's d.andrews99. And that's pretty much it. I don't do the Twitter stuff because that can get a little crazy. So it's just pretty much Facebook and Instagram for me.
Excellent, man. That's enough. I mean, early in your career, you got time to grow in all areas. So, man, thanks for calling in. Thanks for getting a word in with me, Darryl. I mean, it's the first time we spoke.
I appreciate you having me.
Oh, definitely, man. New amateurs, especially heavyweights, and, coming out of South Shore, I know that Bill's not going to put you in there unless you're, ready and you're a beast. And a prospect down the line. So again, Darryl Andrews Jr. fighting April 4th for Cage Titans 48, Plymouth Memorial Hall, his backyard. first time he's fighting there. He's going to be with the loaded training partners taking over that place. So thanks again, Darryl. We'll see you in a few weeks.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, my man.